Cat. I'm going to do a quick and short, maybe hopefully quick and short, video response to two videos that PrepperNurse1 put up this week. The first one is he asked foreign subs from Canada, Australia and Europe, and Asia I guess, and Central Europe. Funny how we ignore South America. But anyway, to tell him and tell his mainly American audience what we felt about having restricted gun access and how that would affect us in S.H.T.F. Which was great. It's always great to hear different cultures and different viewpoints. What happened quite quickly was a lot of children came online and made comments. I'm just going to read a couple in a response to a comment to me that I made. And this is sort of actually representative of what went on throughout the thread. Every time somebody who was not an American said that they didn't have really good access to guns in their country and they were glad of it because of X, Y and Z, some kid came on board and some child and had a conniption. Unable to differentiate the difference between there and America, I guess. Anywho, this is a typical one. Try reading history instead of being programmed by the commie media. Any disarmed public in history had ended in disaster. Wakey, wakey fools. Leaving aside the appalling grammar and the fact that that's completely untrue, you know, we can, preppers abroad, guys, we can think. And then it was somewhat interesting because it quickly devolved into how many people are killed in each country and stuff like that, which is not representative. As I've said before, if you actually look at the number of guns in the United States of America and look at the number of gun deaths per gun, America's really safe. If you look at the number of people killed per capita, America is very unsafe. So, stats are stats. Anyway, they're quite insightful. It's quite insightful. One guy argued with me that everybody should have guns because he'd had to use his gun twice when he was threatened. Both times it then turned out the people who threatened him didn't have guns, so I guess he's arguing they should have had a gun. It was an interesting thread. People from the Netherlands came on board, Australia. You know, various people pointed out to the Americans that mass gun shootings are either unknown now or are very rare in their particular countries, and they felt happy about that, that they felt when they were walking around their cities safe. And they were talking about our own countries, but it's just amazing that people just could not really differentiate the difference. But yeah, it was a great thread, Ed, and thanks for doing that. I was a little unhappy at a couple of your comments. As the host moderator, you asked the question, you know, you don't want to be so biased in the replies, but that's okay, I guess. And then you put one out today about let's talk about guns and the U.S.A, why we love guns. And that's fascinating, it's fascinating. What many of your subs were trying to tell you is that in gun control countries, preppers have guns, most people don't. That makes us feel safer. If everybody has a gun, effectively nobody has a gun, there is no safety. One of the issues for me is automatic weapons and semi-automatic weapon availability. I'm really happy they're not that available here. I'm very, very happy about that. For example, when you look at Ed's compound with the propane tank, you know, 12 feet from his hut, the huts are obviously made out of thin wood. Now, hopefully he's got sheet metal and concrete inside those huts. But if you have tens of thousands of rounds of ammunition and multiple people carrying guns, and you have an SHTF and food runs out, it's going to be pretty ugly. Now, I guess the trade-off with that is, well, a criminal can't come and take my stuff, which Americans claim all the time. My handgun makes me safe and protects me. Yeah, they can come and take your stuff. They can kill you with a gun. There is no absolute safety. A gun is just a tool. It's a tool to kill animals or people. That's it. It doesn't actually protect you at all. It can kill people you feel are threatening you or are threatening you, but that's about the state of its protection. And if lots of people have guns, I would expect you to expect bullets to go both ways. And I think that's the factor the Americans are not getting. I think it's cultural. I think it's fine. From my personal perspective, I would have gun ownership if most of my neighbours had guns. In fact, it's evolving that I may well be changing my bug out plans and retirement plans in the next week or two. And if it comes off and I end up in the rural area a mile or so away from anybody, that may happen, we're all going to get shotguns. And the idea that criminals in Canada have automatic weapons, etc., and hand grenades and all that sort of stuff, it's simply not true. Mostly they have second-hand American handguns. Most of them don't know how to use them. And frankly, the biggest threat for Canadians, and I suspect this is true for Europeans and Australians, would be in a long-standing SHTF, would be the military and law enforcement, who may well come and try and take stuff when they get desperate. I think that for us will be our biggest threat. I actually think it may well be the Americans' biggest threat. But I do know there will be a lot of people banging on people's doors with guns, demanding people open the door to give them food when their family's starving. And in Canada, I can deal with that simply and easily, without too much danger to myself and from a distance. In the States, you're going to have to deal with that knowing there may be snipers, there may be automatic AK-47s just at a visual range. So I think it's an important topic, but I think in terms of prepping, it's really not that important. Is a gun essential to prep? No, completely no, it isn't. A gun is only important to prepping if you believe that you will be involved in a gunfight. If most people have guns, you will be involved in a gunfight, or more than one gunfight. And getting involved in a gunfight is a really bad idea. You really should try and avoid it. If you live in a country with almost no guns, the chances of getting involved in a gunfight are very low. So if you have a gun, you would be at a huge advantage. And that was the thing that the Americans just don't seem to understand. A lot of preppers abroad have access to firearms and are very happy that most people don't, for obvious reasons. We have the people who have guns, don't talk about it, and have huge advantages on that. Whereas if everybody has a gun, nobody has an advantage. Whoever gets the bullet on target first wins. And I know you guys online seem to think that that'll be you, but when I look at your compounds, when I look at your defensive strategies, there's no way on earth I would want to get involved in a gunfight with trees that close to my buildings, with wooden buildings with family members in them. I don't care how good you are, I don't care how well you practiced. 2 or 3 guys with weapons coming from around the tree line, even if you've got patrols going out, and that's the other thing, you can't afford to feed patrols for that long. You may well have troubles. So let's America and Canada and the rest of the world, in the world of prepping, agree to disagree. My culture is not your culture. Please stop calling me a victim. Please stop using the F word to me online. I prep my way how I want to prep. If you see it as bad, explain to me why. Don't just be crazy online and rude. It's just not apparently so acceptable now for people to have a different perspective and to look at somebody else's perspective and to hurl insults at them. From my point of view, it doesn't bother me at all. Hurl all the insults you like at me. It just makes me see you as what you really are, which is a small child with this tiny brain. And if that upsets you, then I'm sorry. Anyway, Ed, I do apologise. I think I went a bit ragged on you in parts of that. It was a bit of a ragged conversation, and I do apologise for that. You prep your way, mate, and it's good, but I really would have a little think about clearing some of those trees out, get lines of sight, maybe get some sort of a raised fighting platform. You probably have that anyway and don't show it, because only idiots show their offensive capabilities online. And that's all from me, Hoople's Cat in Canada. I'm very sorry if anybody's offended by my point of view. Get over yourselves. It's cool. If I was offended every time I read something online I didn't like, I'd be in a state of permanent upset. And I'm not. I'm happy. It's a nice life. Toodaloo. Au revoir.